Man, let me tell you something. If you ain't hip to Night Court in The Legend of Dan Fielding, you've been sleeping under a rock. Dan Fielding, played by the hilarious John Larroquette, was like the secret sauce to that whole show. The man was a straight-up comedic genius, slick, smooth, cocky as all get out, and had the wildest one-liners you ever heard. I'm talking about this dude walking around the courtroom like he owned the place, stripping arrogance. But somehow you loved him for it. It's like he was the bad guy you couldn't help but root for. Like when you order a salad, but deep down you hoping for some fries. And his timing? Man, John Larroquette had that timing down to a science. He would say something slick, something borderline outrageous, and you'd be falling out your chair like, did he just say that?
Oh! Hi, Judge Crockett. What a pleasant surprise.
Got the crap, Fielding.
Judge Wilbur, what a pleasure to see your face again.
Stuff it, Fielding.
You bet.
Martinize me, Dan.
Judge Stone, Fielding!
That is a wonderful idea, sir. You are a sneaky little pile of tweed, aren't you, boy? Yes, sir.
But he said it with so much swagger, you couldn't even get mad at him. And listen, let's not even front. Dan Fielding was a dog, a straight-up hound dog, chasing anything in a skirt like he was in some kind of flirting Olympics. Gold medalist in being inappropriate, but doing it so well you had to laugh. The man had game, confidence, and charisma, but he was also the definition of a lovable scoundrel. Now, I gotta talk about how he made that show what it was, because without Dan Fielding, Night Court would have just been a regular court show with a few chuckles here and there. Dan was like the spice, the hot sauce, the thing that made you want to tune in every week. And what's crazy is, as ridiculous as he was, he still had depth. As the seasons went on, you saw more of his insecurities, his vulnerabilities, and there were moments where you were like, yo, is Dan actually human? Like, does he actually have a heart under all that slick talking nonsense? And that's the beauty of it. They didn't just make him a one-dimensional clown. They let him grow, let him have his moments where he was real, where you could actually feel bad for him. That's good writing, but that's also just Larroquette being a beast with the acting chops.
I can honestly say that I have never met anyone like Dan. He is... truly one of a kind.
You gotta give the man his flowers, because he cleaned up at the Emmys. I'm talking about 4 consecutive wins for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series from 1985 to 1988. 4, man. You know how hard that is? You know how crazy you gotta be to just keep snatching that trophy year after year? Like, he was basically Jordan in the 90s, except he didn't retire to play baseball, he just kept winning. And they even asked him to withdraw his name from consideration for the 5th season, because he was making it unfair for everybody else. That's like somebody telling LeBron, hey, you too good, man. Just sit this season out so somebody else can win MVP. That's greatness right there. But I think what really made Dan Fielding iconic was how he could be so outrageous but still grounded in reality. Like, he'd be cracking jokes, scheming, flirting, doing all that wild stuff, but you still bought into it because Larroquette played it so real. He was over the top but never cartoonish. And his chemistry with the rest of the cast? Flawless. Harry, Christine, Bull, everybody played off him so perfectly it was like watching a masterclass in comedy. And the best part? As Dan's character grew, you could see the writers giving him layers, letting him show remorse, compassion, even loyalty. It was like peeling an onion. Every time you thought you had him figured out, they threw another layer at you. But yo, you know what's underrated? How his comedy style actually evolved with the times. Like, in the early seasons, he was all about being this sleazy, fast-talking prosecutor. But later on, they started giving him jokes with a little more depth. Not to mention his physical comedy, dude could do a double take like nobody's business. And then you got the fact that John Larroquette had such control over his character that he knew exactly when to turn the charm on. I mean, he had that versatility, man. One minute he's hitting you with a punchline that's got you gasping for air, the next minute he's dropping some emotional truth bomb that hits you right in the chest. And let's not ignore the cultural impact. Dan Fielding became the prototype for all these morally ambiguous but hilarious characters you see nowadays. He paved the way, made it okay for characters to be a little scummy but still beloved. And Larroquette was so good at it, you almost felt bad for laughing at some of his jokes. Like, hey man, I shouldn't be laughing at this. But it's just too damn funny. And you know what? That's talent. That's skill. That's genius, baby. So when we talk about Night Court, we gotta put some respect on Dan Fielding's name. He wasn't just part of the show, he was the show. And when you think about all the awards, the classic moments, the quotable lines, you start to realize that John Larroquette wasn't just acting. He was in the zone, playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers. So big shout out to John Larroquette for making Dan Fielding one of the funniest, most complex, and most unforgettable characters in sitcom history. The man's a legend. Point blank, period.